A view of the south side of the White House with both a Hanukkah symbol and a Christmas tree, a wreath. And yet it is not a typical holiday here in Washington. Inside that building right now, the President, Bill Clinton, is meeting with Democrats from the House of Representatives, a body that just less than an hour or so ago passed 2 of 4 articles of impeachment against the President. We're going to tell you what the articles were and what the vote was. Article 1, accusing the President of perjury before a grand jury in the Monica Lewinsky investigation. This article passed by a vote of 228 to 206. It only took 218 to pass. As you can see, the Republicans got 10 more votes than they needed. The second article, alleging the President committed perjury in the Paula Jones deposition, failed. You can see the yes vote was 205, the no vote 229. The third article, charging the President with obstruction of justice in the Paula Jones civil rights case, passed 221 to 212. And finally, Article 4, accusing the President of misusing and abusing his office and impairing the administration of justice. This one failed by a greater number than did Article 2, 148 yes, 285 no. So clearly an humbled President Clinton today. But before any of this happened, there was literally a bombshell dropped in the House of Representatives, and that was when the man everyone expected was going to be the next Speaker of the House took the floor to say that the President should resign, and he had some news to offer himself. This is Representative Bob Livingston of Louisiana.
To the President, I would say, sir, you have done great damage to this nation over this past year. And while your defenders are contending that further impeachment proceedings would only protract and exacerbate the damage to this country, I say that you have the power to terminate that damage and heal the wounds that you have created. You, sir, may resign your post.
House will be in order.
And
the House will be in order.
And I can only challenge you in such fashion if I am willing to heed my own words. To my colleagues, my friends, and most especially my wife and family, I have hurt you all deeply, and I beg your forgiveness. I was prepared to lead our narrow majority as Speaker, and I believe I had it in me to do a fine job. But I cannot do that job or be the kind of leader that I would like to be under current circumstances. So I must set the example that I hope President Clinton will follow. I will not stand for Speaker of the House on January 6th, but rather I shall remain as a backbencher in this Congress that I so dearly love for approximately 6 months into the 106th Congress, whereupon I shall vacate my seat and ask my governor to call a special election to take my place. I thank my constituents for the opportunity to serve them. I hope they will not think badly of me for leaving.
And so with those words, just 2 days after he acknowledged having committed infidelities, having been unfaithful in his marriage, and having seen other allegations about him come out in the press, some parts of the press, Bob Livingston announced that he will not stand for Speaker, and that indeed, as you heard him say, in 6 months he will resign from the House of Representatives. We want to tell you that we have learned that the White House is now saying the President and some of the Democrats from the House will come out with him to make a statement at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. That is just about 22 minutes or so from now. CNN, of course, will bring that to you live, as we will all the events of this extraordinary day. With Bob Livingston taking himself out of the Speaker's position, there is, as you can imagine, chaos. among Republicans in the House of Representatives. CNN's Washington Bureau Chief Frank Sesno joins me. Frank, you've been very carefully following and reporting on what happened as Bob Livingston made this announcement, which I gather he only shared with a very few people.
Very few people, Judy. Actually, no one I've talked to knew about it. And, you know, I reflect upon one of the terms that was used about impeachment during the debate, that impeachment was the nuclear bomb of politics. Bob Livingston was the stun grenade today. He went in there, and it was as if everyone was in a state of shock. I spoke to one senior Republican strategist who then complained nobody is in charge. So the apparatus on Capitol Hill has moved into high gear now. I can tell you that just a short time ago, I was told that Dennis Hastert, from Illinois, congressman, was described as a leveling influence, very calm, sort of a grandfatherly figure, was described as 100% in terms of being the next Speaker of the House. There was a meeting in his office attended by Tom DeLay, the whip, and some 30 other members, and they are now fanning out across Capitol Hill to line up the votes. They already have around 50 votes. They need 112 to put him over the top in terms of the number of Republicans. They believe they've got it locked up. It's just a formality now. It's a question of timing. They are desperate, Judy, to get the sense conveyed both internally and to the rest of the world that there is adult supervision here and there is, in fact, someone in charge of this party.
How could something like this come together so quickly, just hours after Livingston took himself out by surprise?
Well, you know, there was a little hint in what Livingston was saying. I heard it actually as I was listening to him for yet another time. He talked about how he was looking forward to leading this narrow minority. You know, this has been a very fractious group of people, and they have a very narrow minority. And it was a very difficult thing for Newt Gingrich. A couple of members were raising questions about whether he was fit to serve, essentially, after his admissions, rather, of infidelities. Others, conservatives and religious conservatives, were raising questions about whether this oath, his oath to his wife, didn't count for something as we have this discussion about being under oath in a courtroom. So the handwriting was on the wall. His decision, obviously, an intensely personal one, but it clearly took everybody by surprise. But the important point here is that the party's gone into high gear here to fill in the blanks fast.
We want to point out, too, Frank, and you mentioned this, is that the hand of Tom DeLay, the majority whip, the Republican whip in the House, is very much in here. Dennis Hastert, as you told us earlier, managed. Just one second. I'm told that as I mentioned Tom DeLay's name, he's speaking at a Republican stakeout at the Capitol. Let's listen.
We have less than 2 weeks before opening the House. Somebody needs to be put into place and do all the huge, overwhelming work that would have to be done in the next 2 weeks in order to get the House open. I got to catch a plane. Thank you very much.
There was some talk that maybe there would be an interim speaker.
No, there will not be an interim. Wow.
Well, we don't know exactly what Tom DeLay said, but we do have reporters who are over there following it, and we'll try to get that information just as quickly as we can. Frank, just quickly back to you. Dennis Hastert, whose name you're bringing to us as the presumptive next Republican choice for Speaker, was managing Tom DeLay's campaign for whip.
But DeLay is reaching out beyond his own narrow crowd. He is trying to make sure that this operation, as it goes forward, has some ideological and geographical diversity within it. In Hastert's office, alongside with DeLay, for example, dollars was Tom Davis. He's the head of the National Republican Campaign Committee. He controls the dollars. Also there was Sue Kelly from New York for some geographical diversity, as I mentioned, and a number of other individuals who will be part of this operation to round up the votes.
All right, Frank Sesno, I'm told that we have in Chicago, we've all been talking about what's been going on in Washington, but probably what matters more than anything else is what are the American people thinking about all this? So we're going to go to Jeff Flock, who's going to give us a sense of that in Chicago. Jeff.
Judy, the Magnificent Mile in Chicago, a lot of people out to shop, but earlier today, not as many people shopping, many people home watching the debate. I want to ask this one gentleman real quickly. This is a man from Dennis Hastert's district.
Yes, sir.
What do you know about Dennis Hastert?
Well, I hear that he might become the next Speaker of the House.
Did you vote for him?
Yes, I have voted for him a couple of times.
What do you think of him?
Good guy. Good guy. I tried to get a hold of his office to tell him to vote for censure instead of impeachment, but I guess it didn't do any good. Just been trying to piece things together all day long here.
Yeah, I want to talk to some other people.
Quite a moment.
I don't doubt it. Thank you, sir. Appreciated it. In Dennis Hastert's district, this man's been home watching all day.
Yes.
What'd you
I
make
think
of it?
it's a sad day for the United States
no person, even the president, can be above the law, and I feel that this country would be better off if he were to step aside, but I don't think he will. I think that it's sad that we're going to have to go to trial.
I know you didn't support the president beforehand. You did support the president beforehand. Do you now change your mind, think he should resign? No? Yes?
No, I don't think so. I think he's done a good job, and what he's done is not a good example for many of the country, but I don't think it's an impeachable offense.
So what of the Senate trial?
I think so far it's been a lot of partisan politics. I think it's going to be that way, and it's a shame that many of the other issues like education, housing, etc. aren't being addressed.
Last word to you, sir. What did you make of what you saw today?
Well, I believe that he shouldn't be impeached. I believe he's done an excellent job in executing his duties as president, and I believe that we should keep a positive eye open and we should support our president.
Okay, I hear you. Thanks very much to you folks here along the Magnificent Mile in Chicago. As we said, Judy, folks at home, many people at home earlier in the day, but now out shopping. Life does go on out here in the hinterlands. Back to you.
All right, Jeff Locke, it sounds like at least among that group of people, this is one group at least who does not think the president should be removed from office. Obviously, this is not a scientific sampling. They happen to be people who were there on the street as Jeff Locke was there with his camera. We are going to take a break with this reminder. We are told that at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, President Clinton is expected to step out in this area, this part of the White House. It's the South grounds, and make a statement to the American people just a matter of hours after he was impeached by the House of Representatives. We'll be right back.